Hello, hello.
Hello, we're in the flesh.
Today we will be joined by Sam Zagar, where we're going to talk all things and her brilliance and beauty of transmitting human design. So hop on. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yay, there's Sam.
There's Sam. Yeah, we're in person.
What a dream, what a treat.
Let's see.
Hey.
Hey!
What's up?
I just sent you guys a voice note being like, I don't know how to get into this thing. What am I supposed to do? And then I clicked in and said you were live. I was like, oh shit, I should probably be there.
It's all good. I know, I just had that thought too. I was in the bathroom. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't give any direction.
We figured it out.
Figure it out. I will be honest. I am shit at tech. It's one of the things that surprises me the most about my business in general, how absolutely fucking horrendous I am at anything.
How do you run a business, Sam?
I hire
Not my
other
business.
people for their gifts and I focus only on my own.
And that is the way to do it.
Yeah, and that's one thing we want to talk about today too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not used to being on the other end. This is exciting and weird for me.
Right? Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
And Teresa and I are together.
Which is super cool. Okay, so you're on vacation there.
Yeah. In Aura.
All right. I like
Yep.
this.
She came up to Iowa, where it's cold.
Mm-hmm. People are always like, why are you going on vacation in Iowa?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm on the other end. I'm like, why would you live in Arizona? It's so fucking hot there.
That's how I feel about it now. I'm getting to that. I'm like, oh, I like it's crisp here. I can wear a sweater. Like, we have sweater weather for like 4 months in Arizona. It's just hot all the time.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. I got
didn't
coffee.
get coffee.
All right. So
We're super excited to have you. We were just talking about how we met, and it was in your very first strategy and authority class, which feels like so long ago.
I was trying to think about that. Like, when was the last time we all talked? And like, Brandy has been with me since the beginning. Like the beginning. Man, I feel like Brandy and I could definitely make some popcorn and have some laughs over whatever our first session was together.
Right? Yeah.
I still feel confident that it was good.
It was good. It was really good. It got me. It ignited a spark in me because I had dabbled in human design for about a year, and then I was like, okay. And then it was Sam, and I was like, yes, that's who is going to guide me into human design.
And I want to point something out, Brandy. When you first talked to me, you were talking about putting videos on the Inner Space platform, and you asked me about making video content. And look how long it has taken me to get to a place of recording video content.
Yes. Which is also why we invited you on today. One of the things we invited you on to talk about was how you're, branching out in all these different ways in human design, with video being one of them, and that's really been potent. I've noticed on your website too, like and you just seem so in your zone.
I'm very much in my zone. I'll be honest, realizing that Kanye West had the same design as me, and the fact that we're both just Channel of Surrender.
We are generators. Totally. We are so generators.
We were looking at his chart earlier.
We were looking at his chart earlier, and then we noticed that channel, and we're like, of course he has that channel. Sam has that channel.
And he has Gate 45 as his conscious sun. Like, come on.
We were talking about that earlier.
I'm super attracted to how he just shows up and does what he wants, what he thinks is trending, and it always becomes the thing that is trending. And somebody yesterday, I was doing a recording on my podcast with Lola Coca, and she made a comment about like just being like the Kardashians. And I was like, one thing I have to point out about this is that the Kardashians are all generators, but they marry projectors.
Yeah. Yes.
Smart generators.
Yeah. I wondered why we were talking about Kanye. Like, kind of just came out of nowhere.
Receptivity and...
Yeah, I'm definitely going in the direction of video content. I'm definitely preferring showing up in that capacity. Like, it took me a minute to realize, and I'll be honest, I had to get super over sacral stimulated to get here. I had to go to a point of, what if I don't engage with anybody for a while? How do I still want to do this? What do I actually want to be doing? And I love making content. Like, when I'm frazzled, I go make content to cope. When I do anything, I go make content to cope. I fucking love making content. And I realized how I wanted to wake up for the day was, what am I creating? Not necessarily who am I creating for or creating with. Instead of the person being the thing I was going to work on that day, it was like, if I just work on this person, I've only, not only maybe helped this person, but I'll be honest, between sessions, like, I've really started to realize people don't really need sessions. They don't really need sessions. If you figure out strategy and authority, you don't really need anybody else. And the fact that I might think people need me would definitely be a bit of an ego trip. So I wanted to pull out from the idea that anybody might need me as outer authority. And could I channel this into something where I could do it once, I could say it once, and then as many people could access it after that for a much more affordable rate.
Yeah. Absolutely, and very efficient. Being a projector in a business that has a booming demand, right? And how was it for you when you were going through that transition, because you saw people and you had sessions like every day? I remember back in the day, you'd get on, you'd be like, today I have a generator, you know, and it'd just be this, and that surrender, right, to like choosing you and aligning with what you want to do, and that completely being, I mean, probably kind of scary and exciting.
It's definitely scary knowing that, like, it's not even trust. That's the best part. It's scary because I don't even have trust. What I have is a third line and a defined heart that's like, fuck it, let's try. You know, worst case scenario, we crash, we'll probably make funny content out of it. So there is kind of this willingness to throw myself off of a cliff and be entertained by myself in the process. I also know that, like, I've sold slowly enough content that I know that at this point I can get by on selling content. I'm assuming I'm going to take an income hit, but it's really funny because right away my mind, like, I'm really good at interrupting my brain. As soon as my brain wants to take over, it uses the word thought, like, oh, I'm thinking, or oh, I'm having a thought, and immediately there's a second voice that goes, what the fuck are you doing that for? And it always stops me so much now that I'm like, what am I doing that for? So when I have these thoughts like, I'm changing my income, I'm changing how I make money, these things might be scary, I don't know if this is gonna work yet. For me, the thing that always surprises me is when I hit a wall and I cannot work and I'm like, fuck this, I don't care if I don't make any money today, I need a day off. Those are always the days that I sell a couple $100s in content. And I'm like, hold on a sec, what the fuck just happened here?
Being rewarded for the rest.
Yeah.
It's the projector thing, like actually testing and proving that I can do this and it will work out better for me. And even if it's not the same monetary exchange, it's not how I measure success. I am fortunate enough that I've made enough money in human design here for me, but it's much more about, like, not waking up with a rage in my body.
Yeah.
I'm not a manifester, but my ego has so much anger. It has so much anger in it. And I think that, like, we have our overall not self theme, which for me is going to be bitterness, but then based on center definition and channel definition, you get these other flavors. Like my surrender channel is, yeah, it's also going to have an undertone of bitterness because it's a projected channel, but the ego itself is like I can feel it. I can even feel it now. Like, I have to regulate my own anger all the time. And it started to become like genuine, really fucking unhealthy for me. Like, my whole stomach would be acid. I would have these moments where I would wake up and go like, I've basically got my dream life. Why am I waking up with this feeling of like, burn it down? Every time I build something, I wake up with another feeling that's like, burn it down. And it tells me that I'm still, and I will for the rest of my life, I'm still learning what doesn't work. So even though something is something that a lot of people, what I create over and over again is something that most people would settle for. I don't have any settle left in me. I'm like, how good can it get? I don't know yet. How good can it get? I don't know yet. What if I'm more committed to this, more committed to this? And I keep finding out it gets better. So I keep burning things down.
So how do you manage, for lack of a better word, how do you see your innocence motivation? You know, do you find yourself being pulled into desire when you're working kind of with that ego energy?
This is a really, really interesting one. And I think this is where most people get stuck with innocence and desire when they look at heart definition. They think that they're tied in or that they come from the same language. And I don't think that they do. I think they're two different subjects that people cross over a lot of the time and I think something else to consider here is, again, what's the undertone of the channel? What's the keynote of the circuitry that the channel lives in? Because I realized, and you will know that I'm speaking the truth when I say this one, my reputation is the thing that gets me to transfer into desire the fastest. How I think people see me, how I think they feel about me, what I think they want from me, in particular, how I think that they want me to perform. So innocence for me is letting go of the performance that's attached to desire. And because I'm only surrender, which is tribal circuitry, my keynote is support, I'm naturally very aware of things like reputation, legacy, material things, business things. And when I feel that I need to perform in a way that's going to protect my business, I lose a lot of my authenticity. And the thing that made me understand this was the podcast episode I did on my money narrative. Yeah. It was something I was told not to do. I was told by people who cared about me, particularly my partner at the time, don't talk about that stuff. Nobody needs to know that about you. Nobody wants to hear that about you. It's nobody's business, because he was ashamed of what I had done. And I took that on, and there was this moment for me of like, I have a bug. There's always a bug that wants to challenge my patience whenever I record anything. I will say this. Every single video I have, it's like, where's Waldo? Like, you got to look for that. It's going to piss off Sam. Anyway, so in this moment of like, fuck you to this person who told me this, I did the podcast and I just let things come out. And I shook about it. I cried about it. It took me a week to decide to even publish it. I had a hangover from it that stopped me from podcasting for a while. And it was because I put my shit out there for people to see. And I thought this could crush my business. I could lose everything. Nobody would respect me. Nobody would look up to me. And there would go everything. And the irony is that it was one of the most successful things I ever did. And I thought, okay, so there's something in this about me doing what feels right for me. I can't really think about what other people think about it. I have to go like, is this me? And that's like, sure, strategy and authority really comes in to solidify this for me. But my innocence is, it's not about like necessarily this playfulness, although I do enjoy that part of it. It's more about like, as a kid, you didn't even know what a reputation was. Yeah. You just lived your life. And now I have to do that. And I live my life in a very, very public way. And there's kind of this question of like, if I'm not doing sessions, what am I? Oh God, am I just a fucking like HD influencer? But also,
what does that feel like to you though?
Also, like the most exciting thing in the world.
That seems correct for you. Like the Sam that I know, and that when I feel into you, it's like, that just feels correct for you.
Yep.
I love knowing that I have a career out of fucking living human design publicly. And that's it. As long as I keep some educational component in what I do, like, it doesn't matter if I go to the grocery store, it doesn't matter if I pick up my kid from school, or if I have to do the dishes, or if I have to work, like, I talk about what my design is, why it's hard. Like, I like to dress up, sure, but I have no fucking qualms about showing up in like my towel and I'm crying and I'm having a moment, because this is actually kind of funny, but like, Instagram is my friend. Like everything on Instagram is my friend. This is my social network. I don't have like friends that come over in real life. And the funny thing is I got people to try. I don't want it. Like I like to be alone. I like to be in my house doing my own thing. Most of the people around me here are very real world.
Muggles.
I don't know how to talk to them. It's like I go talk to people in the regular world and I feel like a fucking alien on another planet. And they look at me like, you're a woman, you're 30, you're a single mom, you're on social media. Like I got all these regular world labels and I'm like, y'all don't know how cool I am.
Yeah. I'm cool.
So I'll just hang out at home and go on Instagram and hang out with my people.
I think that's why a lot of us are here, though. I mean, we were just talking about that today. We're like, we don't have friends that usually that we're like, I want to go get coffee with you. And when we're hanging out together, it feels like we're in high school again. We're like, I just want to like drive around and like hang out. Yeah. And it's because we see each other. Mm-hmm. But I only really find that on Instagram. In this
Instagram is really, really important to me. It has become my place. And it's also, that can be one of the most challenging things about it. Like and especially because I'm personal view, like things can get very personal very, very quickly for me. And I have to really check myself. Like I went through a really challenging phase where I came out of one social group in human design. There was no support, which is all my keynote is looking for. Mm-hmm. I found another group that was very, very supportive. But then I felt all of this like negative pressure about being an influencer and having a big following that I'm responsible for, and I need to share the information a certain way. And I've really lost interest in whether or not the sharing was, I lost interest in what everybody else was doing. Mm-hmm. It's a weird feeling because I feel like I'm supposed to be involved. I'm supposed to know who other people are. I'm supposed to pay attention to their content and what they put out. But I really don't consume other people's stuff. And it's one of the things that keeps me in my little like innocence bubble. Because my favorite innocence quote that puts me back in my place is, I'm sitting on a fence and my ass is hurting. I got to sit and I have to see all of the sides. And I do appreciate seeing all of the sides. I have found my position again where I am able to hear any kind of information in the system, true or not, and it doesn't get much of a reaction out of me. The only thing that it drives me towards doing now is hosting more conversations with people where I can present things, guide the conversation. Like, okay, it's kind of hard to explain. The Defined Ajna is helping right now. But the concept of my business is a lot less reactive. Instead of like seeing a post, getting into a comment section, reactive, and then the energy is gone. Now it's like, okay, I see this perspective. Over here, I see this perspective. I see this overarching theme. I see this thing that's being lost in translation. I see this way that I want to get involved with that, but I also see this efficient way that I have to do this with my projector energy. So then I'm going to have to plan this content and execute it in this way and share it in this. And instead of responding with a comment, it becomes like a 1 month plan to get like behind the scenes and change a narrative. Yeah. And like, I don't know, it's a little bit chess-like.
Definitely.
And to support the content that you put out. If any of you joining us today don't know, she has a website. You can go to the link in her bio. We'll tag her in this as well. But she does videos. She has amazing content just on her page. And the support that you can give people in such a short period of time, it's very it's just like here, you know?
Very...
Yeah, just
lasery.
Yeah, exactly. And so the support that you're giving other people who might be experiencing things in the human design community where they're like, where's a source that I can trust to get it with no BS? And it feels really good when I'm just gonna say listening, because we have the video library, you have your podcast that you're doing a new season for, and then you have the guide, which you are also now having audio to or video to.
There's so much. And because I have so many different creative projects, that's why I kind of had to get rid of the people, because if I did a session with a person, part of being quad left is that you get really stupid really fast. Like really stupid really fast. If I don't eat appropriately, I can't form a sentence. And that is just absolute shit for when you're trying to record like a 30-minute video in a one shot. And I realized that I have so many different passion projects, and they're all different sides of me. The guide has been fascinating. The guide certainly has an ego trip component to it, like fully has an ego trip component to it. I'm gonna totally out myself in a bit of this story where the ego comes from on this. So we know that there is the talk about things like human design community, human design commons, this idea that a whole bunch of us will come together and work on a group project. Okay. It's really ambitious. I love it. I love the idea that all these people are going to be able to make all of their mechanics get together in a way that they all agree on and commit to things. And But if it's going to take a month to come up with a name for the group, my spleen plus ego is like, okay, bye. Here's a guide.
Yeah.
Because I almost like, in a way, I don't think I realized this. I should have known better with my third line. But I was proving what wasn't going to work about community projects. And I was doing it very, very quickly, because the first issue of the guide had like 25 people involved in it. It required me to be respond, edit, respond. And all I really wanted to do was the design. I like to make the content. I love to execute it. I cannot handle the micromanaging in between. And because I was so set on working with people's designs, people needed to be paid. We had to respect the timeline of their authority. We had to respect the integrity of their work, the perspective they were writing from. Like, there were so many things to consider that I really didn't know if what I was doing was going to work at all. And issue 1, did it. I was just so like amped on the project that it was like, yeah, through to issue 2. And then issue 2 was like, oh, fuck. Okay.
Do it again.
We can do this. We can do this. And then when it was time to do issue 3, I was like, So as soon as I slowed on issue 3, people started coming at me going, well, are you going to get rid of the project? Are you going to turn it over to somebody else to do? Are you going to do this? And as soon as there was the talk about, is somebody else going to take this over? My ego was like, fuck no. Well, you're not doing it right now. So it's mine. I was like, okay, there's something here. There's definitely something here. And the main thing that I realized was it was my ego that was going to make it happen. It was my ego that I had to rely on to force the project through to the end. Nobody else was going to give me that, because nobody had as much skin in the game as I did. So I was very, very set on this project, and I knew that I needed help, but I knew that the invitation to get on board with me was going to have to be, it was funny, it was going to have to be good. And the irony is that the person that I picked to bring on board didn't invite me. I gave them something to respond to. And I watched as Sacral go from to like, and when I felt that, I was like, that's what I want in my business. Give me that, give me that, give me that Sacral. So it kind of became like, you know, Megan was like, I love middleman management. And I was like, tell me more. She's like, I love responding. I'm like, tell me more. She's like, I'm always involved in language things and writing things. Tell me more. I'm like, this is all really good, really good. This sounds like exactly what I need. And then I felt something when we started talking about kids. There was something about parenting where I felt this like, woo, this like jazz up from her. And I said, fuck it. Issue 3 is all about family and parenting. And she was like, what? I was like, this is what your sacral wants. I can design whatever content you give me. That's what I'm here for. But I need you to genuinely be excited to respond and source me all of this content. I can give you the questions to ask people. I can give you the framework. We can do topics. I set up the website. All you had to do is click on a topic and it automatically sent you to an email to write everything, subject line included. Like, I did all of the prep and I will do all of the execution, but I do not belong in the middle. And I needed somebody in the middle who actually had a sacral response for this, because otherwise there's nothing for it. And if we're going to talk about parenting, that's the most lifestyle you're going to get, and that needs a generator as far as I'm concerned. So bringing her on board was really important to me. But it's funny, like I act a little bit manifester sometimes. Like I'm not super keen on being approached. I don't trust a lot of invitations. But I do trust my ability to guide the sacral response right now, because as somebody who's amplifying, whether it's negative or positive, I have been around a lot. I've been around a lot of negative sacral energy. And what I mean by that is that they, just regular people in my everyday life, they don't know design. They don't, in many ways, they don't know themselves. And I was constantly feeling what I call now the black hole. There was like this constant like suck energy from the sacral people around me. And I got so used to tasting that when I tasted the sacral pump up, I was like, that's food. That's food for me. That's not going to drain me. That's going to feed me. And I need to drip this into my project. And I'm laughing about the human design comments thing because Megan was a part of that. And I watched her. So this is also another thing. She's an open heart. She's got nothing to prove. And she had nothing to prove to me in order to get the job. But the irony was that she did prove something to me. She didn't know that she was proving something to me. So there was no performance element of it. But I was able to watch her work with people previously. I was able to see how she actually did the role that I was looking for. It was like headhunting. I was like, hey, that thing that you're doing, please come over here and do this for me. And, it was perfect. She needed a job that day and fractals collided, and here we are. And now I'm just at the point where she's been left alone for a month to source the content. And now we're going to get back into each other's aura and figure out how we're actually going to package this coming together. And I'm really excited to have somebody to like work with and feed off of for that. But the guide is not something, my ego is in full control of the guide, but it's not something I can do alone. And it's not something I'm willing to give up. So I just had to figure out what wasn't working and get back to it.
You can't use your willpower to push through that because it's just going to zap you. You needed sacral energy to help you. And but that's such a beautiful way of showing everybody, as, 6-line personal view. You have a lot of 6-line themes going on for yourself, showing everybody how to actually orchestrate something like that and how to use the knowledge that we have of design. Oh, projectors are here to guide sacral energy. So what does that actually look like? And what does it look like to be a projector in that role? And you're showing everybody that.
And how to work with someone's design in such a, it feels way more effortless than trying to do things because they're designed a certain way versus just naturally kind of lining up like that. She does an amazing job, by the way. She interviewed me for the guide, and it was hilarious because we had my mom on it, and my mom kind of strayed, and I kept trying to pull my mom back into the topic of the conversation, and Megan was really wonderful to work with on that.
Yeah, and I was part of Human Design Commons, one of the first weeks she did it, and I was amazed with her orchestrating all of that, talking to everybody, being organized, connecting everybody, working with people in a way that felt good for everybody. And because it's hard to work with everybody's design, and it almost becomes a mental trip because then you're like, oh, but this person's designed this way and da-da-da. But when you actually enter into things correctly, things just flow. And there doesn't need to be so much mental energy put towards that.
I started to realize that even people who have been in design for a while, they hit this wall about giving themselves permission to let go of the shitty thing. And, then my spleen comes in and recognizes this and is like, you need to stop that. You need to put that thing down. So while a lot of people's messaging towards sacrals is go for the yes, go for the thing that feels really good, that is not my goal with the sacral, because in order to be able to do that, you have to be willing to make the space first. And to make the space, you have to let go of the thing that is draining you and is therefore draining the other people around you. Because I don't want generators near me if they're stuck in the trap of I'm not allowed to do things for myself. I had too many generators come sit around me and complain about what they do for their family, what they do for their friends. They don't feel appreciated. They're exhausted. They're not eating well. And it's like, they just want to have like a responding bitch party for a few seconds. And I'm over here like, stop doing those things then. Yeah. Well, I can't because, no, you can't because you don't know how. You don't feel good enough about yourself to give yourself permission to do this. Like people, they weren't even accepted. They weren't even getting reciprocal things. Like they're overserving. But then they use that almost as like a badge of honor. Like, look how much I'm killing myself for the people around me. And I'm like, we don't appreciate that. I need you to understand that we don't want that from you. We don't appreciate that from you. I need you to do the thing that makes you feel good, because when you feel good, do you know how fucking great I'm going to feel? And like, yeah, sure, it's totally motivated by me. But yeah, I'm going to feel fucking great. And I'm a mom to a sacral kid. Like I need him to feel good. I need him to feel good. I have to guide him. And I mean, it's so different working with kids versus working with adults, because adults all have all these stories in their head about why they can't do the thing that feels good. The kids on the opposite end, like, I'm just going to do the thing that feels good, try and tell me otherwise. So with Maven, like a lot of my parenting is actually pretty hands-off. I'm very third line in my parenting, where I'm like, I'm gonna turn you loose, bud. I need to learn from you by just watching you respond, letting you do the thing that you like. If you look like you're gonna fuck up, I'm probably gonna get involved. If you really hurt yourself, I might get involved. You know, even then I'm like, well done, bud. You know, like Maven and I both hurt ourselves pretty frequently. He used to refer to himself as, he did it once, actually. It caught me off guard. He was like, I'm a dummy. And I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, I just hurt myself all the time. I just make stupid decisions. I'm just like...
Yeah, well, he's a 3-5, right?
3-5.
Yeah, he fucks it up and then he needs to universalize it. Hey, Mom, guess what I fucked up? All the time. And I'm like, you're not dumb. You're brave. You're resilient. You might have fallen out of the tree, but look at all the other kids that won't even try to climb it. Like, what did you learn here? And you know what, bud? You and I, we're going to crash all the time, but we don't actually get that hurt about it. Like, it doesn't matter if we crash. Like, I've done some stupid shit and I've never broken a bone. Like, what's up with that?
Really?
Finding out what doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's the way to look at it from the like positive perspective. Oh, you fail a lot, you make mistakes a lot. Yeah, you're finding out what doesn't work. You're tinkering in life, you know. I think of the third lines as the tinkerers. My husband's a 3-6. I'm like, will you figure this out and tinker with this? So, yeah, he gets lit about that kind of stuff.
Okay, this is funny, actually. So my consecutive determination loves to eat the same fucking thing all the time. So I have eaten a full wheel of brie cheese stuffed with garlic every day for at least a month. Like, I spend $12 a day on a wheel of brie cheese that I stuff with garlic and I eat for dinner. And for the first like 28 days of this, you got this, they're covered in like a wax or something, right? So I'm trying to like fillet off the top of the brie cheese and it's all creamy on the bottom and it's getting stuck and I'm like losing all the good stuff and I'm like trying to nibble the edges because I'm weird and I use my hands and nobody's watching me. And I realized the other day I had to grab a shitty knife. All the other ones were dirty. I didn't have the energy to do the dishes. I grabbed the shittiest knife and I was just looking at the brie like, ah, like, fuck. So I start scraping it like it's burnt toast. 2 seconds later, all the wax is gone. I haven't even actually touched the cheese. It's like the cleanest little, most efficient pile. First thing I did was voice note someone. It took me 28 of these to figure out what doesn't work, but I can make brie better than anybody else now.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Okay, I'm slowly watching the comments section.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's so funny.
Eat the rind.
Eat the rind.
How is that going to come out of me? Straight up, that's my first question. It's chewier than the rest of it, I'll say that.
I thought I just like cut it like a pie and I just eat the rind. I don't know if it's good for you, but
I don't know either.
It's always been okay. Oh man. I wanted to go back to what you were saying about sacrals. I know we're like kind of on a different topic, but I loved what you said about like you have to say no to things first, because I think that's the hardest thing for sacrals, because they're like, I'm not getting anything I'm excited about. I literally burned it all down in 2020. When the pandemic happened, I quit everything I was doing. And it was terrible. I quit everything except for attempting to start doing human design readings and doing healing work with people, which was pretty slow for me at the time. It wasn't my full source of income. But all of the other things I was doing were frustrating the hell out of me. And I was giving all of the time. I couldn't do anything I wanted to do. I had no room. I was full. It was like a bubble that needed to pop. So when I quit it all, it was like thing by thing, opportunity through my network as a fourth line, opportunity. And then it just slowly built into this life that I'm satisfied in, and it continues. That's why I'm here, is because I follow my authority and I meet the right people for me. But I had to burn it all down. And I think that's really scary for people. It was terrifying. You know, my mind wanted to get involved. No, you should stay, at least work 1 day a week here, work 1 day a week here, I was working 3 jobs. None of it was satisfying.
So when you burn it all down, what's the big fear? What's the thing in the space that you think freaks people out the most?
Well, for me, at least, it was money. It was survival. I was like, how am I going to live? Because all of the things I have to quit are my sources of income. And I had to trust that something would come in to take care of me. And it was weird because I had made the decision to quit my jobs already. And then one of my clients was like, you know, they're doing like PPP loans for small businesses, and I think they're going to be forgivable. You should get in on that. And my body was just like, yes. And of course I slept on it, but I was like, first thing in the morning, I'm filling that out. And I got like 2 months worth of income basically, and it got forgiven. But I had already made the decision to quit my jobs. So it was almost like I needed to take the action before the opportunity for the financial support came through. And then that 2 months gave me time to get my business set up and like really start refocusing or recentering myself. And I just kept responding from there. I didn't know what it was going to turn into. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I thought I have an office, and I thought I was going to be doing tons of like in-person stuff. And then the pandemic happened and everything went online. And it was just like I kept responding. So I think that's what's hard, is that we just have to wait to respond to the next thing and to the next thing. But people want to plan it, like, you know, people want to plan it all out and like control it with their minds. And that's just not how it works.
Yeah, the no choice stuff, I always get a kick out of this because, well, one, anybody that does any blanket statement ever, anything that sounds definitive, anything that sounds like there's no way around this, I'm like, you want to argue about it? You want to try me? Like, there's a whole like thing that comes up for me, like, let's prove this. Let's test it. You say there's no choice. How am I going to prove this? How am I going to show where this doesn't work? And I need like the caveats in things, but because there's fucking always a caveat in a conversation. So when I see the just like no choice blanket statement, I'm like, that's not fucking true. I get to choose to use my authority. Next. So that's where the conversation is really interesting for me. It's not like, I don't have a plan. And let me also acknowledge being strategic in this for a second, because I had learned something really interesting about myself. I think there's this expectation that because I'm strategic, because I'm quad left, that I'm a type A personality, that I have a plan for everything, that I have a way that I'm going to execute things, and I don't. Not at all. And it's not because I'm quad left, and it's not about being strategic. I think the thing that comes into this is because I have one channel and it's unconscious. So the idea that I have control over how my channel is going to plan thing, like, I'm only my channel, right? So there's this, I'm not a planner. Plans freak me out. They totally stress me out. If I had to follow a plan, I would honestly just like chuck it, because I don't like that kind of control in my life. I don't like that kind of rigidity. I don't like the idea that I have locked myself into something that might not be as good as it could be. I think that like my perspective is so limited. I'm not even aware of how awesome things are going to get. So if I try and come up with a plan, I automatically see it as a lackluster version of my potential. and it just stresses me out and I don't want anything to do with it. The way that I see my strategy the most is when I watch my stuff backwards. So whatever content I make, I have to watch, because as soon as I'm done filming a video, I have no fucking clue what I just said.
Yeah.
No clue what I said. So then I have this like, moment that comes in that's like, did you say the right things? Did you forget things? Did you fuck up your words and like interchange them at some point? So then I always watch my stuff back, especially because if I have to write copy for my own content, I need to like actually hear my own words again so that I can remember what I talked about and write a video description. But when I watch the videos, two things happen. One, it's not my mind. I want to say things to myself when I'm watching the video, but what I want to say is always the word that comes out of my mouth next. I want to like jump in and control things and be like, make sure you say this. But then I watch myself in the video say exactly that thing, and I'm like, there's a like autopilot thing happening here where the same information is going to come out. I actually need to make sure that I'm not in my own fucking way about it. That's the main thing. But when I watch the videos back, I see that like there is steps. There's a framework. I walk somebody through something. I'm mindful of what the intention of the video is, what I'm trying to accomplish here. So my strategy is all unconscious. It's yes, it's the conscious side of my personality, but there isn't any definition there. There isn't anything for me to grab onto. So this idea that everything about me as a strategic person actually has a plan is something that really makes me laugh. It's that just the natural operating system of me comes out more systematically. That's it.
Would you say, and this is kind of what I'm starting to realize about our minds, right? Our minds are for the other. So if we're trying, even as a strategic mind, if you're trying to plan your life, it's not going to work, because your mind, the abilities that your incredible strategic mind has are for the other.
I feel that a lot when I go to edit other people's content. I love content creating with receptive people because they say brilliant things, but the finesse about design isn't quite there. Yeah, like I love making templates and then having a receptive person jump in, put the words into the template, and then I jump back in and usually get rid of double spaces, change alignments, like, I don't know, make things more symmetrical and shit so that it's like more visually appealing to people and integrates for everybody more. But it's such a partnered relationship. Like, for me, I get really particular about this conversation. The binary has to be supportive. I am so over othering conversation, and I'm so over dismissing things based on definition. Oh, well, this person's a this, so they're that. Oh, this person's a this, so they're that. It's like, you might as well hate on me for being a woman. You might as well hate on me for being a mom. You might as well, like, what other piece of me do you not like that you're going to use to, like, identify me as a whole? I have a problem with that. So I'm always thinking, like, what's my other half? Like, how am I twinning in human design? I don't know.
I love that, Sam. I love that. That's really thought-provoking. And I think if you're going to be discriminatory over what somebody has in your chart, like, what's the point in design? What's the point in seeing people's beautiful uniqueness and differentiation? And I can see the gifts in every single aspect of the chart. And even in the detriment, even when somebody is in the detriment, we still need people to be in detriment. We need to experience detriment. That's where it's one of those interesting conversations, but there's no morality in design even. It's just people are living their design and having their experience.
Somebody called me out a couple months ago. It was a really good conversation. It was a really good DM conversation. And there are some people who can be very, very direct with me. And I appreciate that. And I need that. And I don't even know what I said. I think I was just venting. I was probably stuck in like a victim-y, bittery projector moment. And this other person said, you know, the language that you just used, you othered the other person. Why did you do that? Why did you reduce them to this one piece of their design? And I was like, oh my God, the things that I hate about normal society are in my world. They're in my design and I'm doing them. fuck, this is a problem. So I had to go through a little, like I withdrew a little bit recently. Definitely had to go through some stuff.
Yeah.
And then I came back out and connected with that person, was like, thank you for calling me out on that. I needed that. Like I really fucking needed that. And then I went back to creating content. And this person reached out to me again and said, I noticed the same topic came up multiple times and your voice didn't skip a beat this time. There was no emotion, there was no transference, there was no nothing. And so they wanted to also inform me that they had seen this evolution. And it felt really good, again, to have somebody just like speak to me where I'm at, be supportive, not be like, they didn't try and make me feel bad about what I had done. They just brought me the awareness that I was missing.
Yeah.
And I needed that. And I will say that, actually, you know, whether this person is receptive or not, I don't know. But that does lead me into this conversation about what I get out of receptivity. And I did not realize like how bad my tunnel vision was until I started to bring so many receptive people around me. And I need these people around me to give me the big picture, to give me the awareness that I don't see. And in a funny way, what a lot of people bring to me is awareness of how naive I am. People use the word naive with me a lot, which for me is them actually recognizing my innocence. Innocence has like a very childish, naive kind of quality to it. But because of that, I tend to get hijacked into things that I don't belong there. I get pulled into things that aren't about me, they're not important for me, and then I get tunnel vision and I get stuck inside of that. And I need someone with awareness to kind of like grab me and pull me out of the water and be like, do you see? Because I don't see a lot of the time. The things that I see are very specific. They're right in front of me. I'm very focused on what's in front of me. And I tend to be really fucking oblivious to a lot of the stuff going on around me. So
I think that's a personal view thing too, because I absolutely experienced that with personal view. And I mean, it's a 6-line theme. So it's like, and I think even in my, my reading, my not self-analysis that I had about that personal view, they were saying you can have a tendency to like be in your own bubble and not see what's actually happening around you, because it's like, I have blinders on, this is my lens, and I don't know what's going on around you. So it's almost like good to go in power view transference sometimes, because it gives you that perspective and then you go right back into personal view. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that too. It's yeah.
My mom gave me this, she noticed this thing about me. It's funny because my mom is also totally left like I am, but she would say this thing to me, I think when she'd see me get stuck in like an anxiety loop, and she'd go, your world is too small.
Yeah.
And that's all she would say. She'd just go, your world is too small. And it was everything communicated to me in that was, I can only see here, you know? It was like you're either too conditioned by the one person you're spending time with, or you're too conditioned by the one environment you're hanging out in, or you're too conditioned by this one ideology you keep being around. And that's why markets is so important to me. Even just walking around in like 300 people's different random aura that don't give a fuck about me gives me this innocence all over again.
It changes your reality. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, a lot of us are living in completely different realities, and it's just the nature of our designs and our trauma, our life experience, all the things. But when you're able to step into somebody else's reality, even just for a moment, it expands your worldview.
And we were just talking, I have a quad left daughter, quad left 3/5 MG, with personal view. And we were just chatting with her about her chart earlier today, and hearing you say that your world's too small, that was like, whoa, because it will just become like super focused in on that. Wow.
Yeah, in the variable lecture, I really like my variable lecture. There's one quote from it that just fucking, I laughed. It's the Nobel Prize winning scientist that trips on his shoelaces. Masculine. The story is masculine. Fuck that. The Nobel Prize winning scientist who trips on their shoelaces as they go to claim the reward because they're so good at one thing that they're fucking oblivious to the rest of the world.
Yep.
And I think when people, like, let's tie my consecutive into this now, when I'm a diehard for human design, some people project this onto me like I think all the other systems are bullshit or something.
Oh.
And I won't say yes or no to that, but I will say that I don't have space for anything else. Like once I found human design, it was the thing for me, and I have been tunnel vision focused in human design. Like, it's funny, people say gene keys to me and I'm like, shh, don't. Like, I've never read a Gene Keys book. I won't.
Same.
And when I mention the amino acids to people, they're like, oh, do you love the Gene Keys? I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't love it, it's that I have no fucking awareness of it, and I don't intend to, because I'm still learning human design. There's so many people that don't even actually know strategy and authority, and they want to incorporate like 12 mega systems together, and I'm like, I didn't know. It's not for me. Like, I am sucked into human design. Do I actually believe human design? I don't know. Still trying to prove if it doesn't work, you know?
We're experimenting. Yeah. Someone asked about our designs. We have our charts on this page too.
I haven't been through the comment section at all. I don't know.
I just noticed that. I want to make sure that they have awareness of who is on here. Gene Keys.
Gene Keys is way more abstract.
I haven't even read it. I don't want. It's a no for me because it's just a no.
It's very abstract, and I think my abstract mind likes that sort of thing, but I don't incorporate it into my work because to me it's a no. It's like, for me, it's like, oh, it's like reading. It's almost like reading a book of quotes or something. I'm like, oh, that's a nice thing to think about, but it's not like I'm going to teach this in my work. And that's just for me because human design is more logical to me. And I think with things that are logical and mechanical, it's easier for people to implement. Abstract things are fun to think about.
I have noticed that, so I use this language when I'm in sessions. One of the first things I do is I put people's chart in front of them and I say, tell me what you're comfortable with. Tell me where you're like, I don't know what this means. I don't know what that language is, because that's going to tell me how I'm going to structure this conversation to engage with you. And there are a lot of people where when they tell me, well, you know, I know that I'm like, I know I'm a 3/6 and I get that I'm a projector and, you know, I'm emotional. I'm like, okay. And, you know, like, I've got this big picture view and I'm like, okay, so whoever you got your information from is more of an abstract thinker and you haven't had the time to actually integrate the knowledge. Like, I can tell my channel can tell what voice you're using. Whenever I talk to anybody, I know your voice. And I've studied enough of the systems that eventually lead us to human design that I know if you come from Lacey Phillips, I know if you come from Jenna Zoe, I know if you come from psychology, I know if you come from Eden Carpenter, I know if you come from this one, because the language gets repeated throughout the same. And when people tell me, I know I'm a word, but they don't have the way to tell me what it feels like in their body, I say, okay, you've put human design language up here. You know the word enough to recognize it when I speak about it, but now we have to talk about what this actually feels like in your body. Because if we can't do that, you don't actually know what this is. And I know that that's what people are talking about with the frequency of the language. That's another one of those ambiguous statements that gets made in our industry. And they're like, the frequencies in the language, the frequencies in the language. And I'm like, man, fuck, if I hear frequency, I tune out like when I hear fractal, because it's an ambiguous concept to me. But what does it mean? That's what my channel wants to know all the time. But what does it mean?
Yes. Well, I think that's why you're so good at what you do, Sam, because you make it mean something tangible for people. And it's
people have to lip read. Your hand is right in front of your mouth.
I'm a hand talker. You make it mean something tangible. And somebody said a comment earlier where they're like, you've helped me love being a projector. And what I started to realize is a lot of the influencers out there that are projectors, or I mean, most human design influencers that have huge followings at this point, but definitely the projector ones, they have these very elusive lives. And you're like the reality show of what it is to be a projector.
Yeah.
I called myself the anti-influencer for a long time because I was like, I'll be so honest, like, you guys won't have anything to look up to. But the irony is that that's actually what they wanted.
Yeah.
They want the real life shit.
Yeah.
It's like people, you know, I'm not just, human design influencers that are projectors, they almost seem so far away. They feel like they're in a snow globe or something. And I'm just like, I want to know you. I want to know how did you do this? How are you living life as a projector? And a lot of the projectors out there, they need someone to look up to. They need someone who's like real with their shit and puts it all out there. And that's what you do.
Yeah, we get a lot too on here, a lot of comments from people, a lot of messages, and they're like, a lot of them are generators because we're generator types. And they're like, thank you for the lived, like how you're living your life and, you know, lived experience. And you do that so well. I mean, even just with your cognition, I mean, everything, you know, how you show up as a projector, you're just like, this is just how I live, with this design, how I live as a projector.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed, I'm going to call out some 6 lines here, no names in particular, but one thing that I noticed when Sidereal happened, there was this thing where so many people were like, I ain't touching that. Mm-hmm. And there were so many 6 lines that used their 6th line as a way to not have to participate. I'm on the roof, I'm just watching, and I'm like, no, you're a fucking role model. Don't forget that. Mm-hmm. Are you actually being a role model? Are you letting people see you? Some of the best advice I ever got was from Alex Cantone back when we were working together, and I was still very new, and she was like, you got to do stories. There's something for you in stories. You got to get on stories. You're not utilizing this properly. And I was like, people are just going to look at me like talk about nothing, like fucking awkward, right? And she was like, no, you're a 3/6. They want to watch you fail. They want to watch you fuck up.
Yeah.
Let them see it. And I was like, oh, you're tapping into my voyeur thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I know that I'm meant to be observed, but that means I get watched a lot. Like, people like to be the voyeur when it comes to me. You guys don't even know how much I like to be the voyeur when the tables get turned, because then it's like, it's very, very liberating for me. Mm-hmm. Oh God, I'm getting lost on a tangent. My brain went to sex and I forgot everything I was thinking about. Don't look at me, everybody.
Sex, coffee talk.
You had a little like fire in your eyes.
Everyone have a drink, you know?
Yeah, everyone have a drink. And while we take this little drink, I just want to also say, because I saw some comments that I have to respond to, that we're not knocking Gene Keys. I wasn't knocking Gene Keys at all.
Not at all. I think it's beautifully written.
Yeah, I haven't, it's a no for me to read it.
You guys care about being apologetic.
I have an undefined solar plexus.
And I don't even try and justify why I don't get into the Gene Keys. I'm just like, not for me. You got a problem with it? That's a you thing.
Yeah, that's a you thing. Exactly.
Yeah. No, it is.
It can be totally correct for one person and completely incorrect for another person.
Yeah. But I
laugh because I'm not into astrology either. And people are like,
but Sam, how do you know human design if you don't know about astrology?
Me either. I have, like, my sacral is just to astrology. It feels complicated. I don't like the words being used. I like the words that they use.
I feel like
it's archetypal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To me, it's not grounded in enough concrete, like it is this or it's not this. I don't know how to test out the ambiguous nature of being, you know, I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm told my whole life I'm a Sagittarius, and that, as far as I'm concerned, means I'll never commit to anything and I'll always be pursuing education. But being a Sagittarius is part of my sun sign, which is 5.3, which is in my sacral center, which isn't fucking on. Mm-hmm. The irony about me being a 3rd line is that it's literally only my conscious sun and earth. They're in undefined centers. There is no other 3rd line in my chart.
None. Wow. What do you have a lot of?
I feel like 4th line.
4s and 6s.
Okay.
I knew it. Because if I didn't know your design and just watching you, I would think you're a 4/6.
That's my channel. My ego is a 4 and my spleen is a 6.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Wow. The nuance. The nuance.
Yeah, I'm pretty well all 6th line. So the funny thing about that is that I waited my whole life to turn 30. There was an intuitive thing inside of me that said, when you turn 30, it'll all be okay. I don't know what it was, but there was just this thing inside me that was like, you are not an adult. Don't even worry about it. Like, your life is going to get good when you turn 30. I had no idea what it meant to be a 6th line at the time. And Saturn return changed. I mean, it was total game changer. And when I turned 30, things actually fucking changed. And they're changing now more than ever. Now that I understand, it was weird. I had to understand innocence and innocence being a 6 in order to actually climb on the roof. I kept looking at the roof. I had no ability to get up there, but it wasn't until I was in innocence that I was on the roof, because I was able to come away from like the small details, the intensity of the third line, and I was able to create the space to perfect my execution on things. The way that I'm in my business right now is way more 6th line than it is 3rd line. Like, I'm always going to trial and error things. I'm always going to burn down the thing that doesn't work, but I don't have the same kind of stamina for it. Now I see the value and the efficiency of being the 6th line. You know, when I first read about the 6 and it said it's the administrator, I was like, ugh, office work? Gross. Like, let's go have some 3rd line fun. Let's go do some arson. Who wants to do all the paperwork? And now I am interested in doing the paperwork, not because I actually like it, because if I do it the right way and then it's done, it gives me so much more freedom. It actually like sign something off so that I can get it, and it feels much more cyclical in nature. Like, I can't start again until I can't look to my 1 until I'm done my 6, you know.
You just really connected something for me. I had an aha moment about me, my 6th line. I didn't like get up on the roof until like earlier this year, and I'm 35. I mean, what it felt like actually like being on the roof, and I just checked in with my motivation, and it was like, oh, I was running on a whole lot of guilt motivation. And it was like, once I leaned into more, I mean, I've always been hopeful and optimistic about crazy ass shit, but really living that, and I was like, that was like that feeling.
Brandy, I gotta give you some serious credit for this. That fly's gonna come back. It's gonna try and grow right in my mouth.
I call flies Louise, but
Louise?
I just say it's Louise.
Well, I watch Bob's Burger, so that's extra funny to me because I fucking love Louise. And I love all stoner, childish comedies like Rick and Morty. Gimme. Anyway, Brandy, you get hit with heavy shit all the time, and you handle it better than anybody else I know. Like, if anybody's sacral should be getting fed up, it should be yours, and you don't. And it's amazing to me. Like, I'm pretty well in fucking constant awe of how well you keep your shit together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, and it what helps is that I take care of my body so that I can listen, and so that I can know, you know, let it guide me, truly.
I really think that's the biggest difference, is because you preemptively, I mean, you follow your sacral. Your sacral tells you to do things for your body. You know, it's like, just being here for the week, we've gone to so many healers, so many like different appointments, and I really see how she sets her body up for.
And it's for the body. Like last night I got a hit, like something with some supplement I was taking. So I texted the gal that tests my supplements, because I need to make sure my mind isn't controlling how much supplement I'm taking of whatever. And so I set up an appointment, went in there today, because I was like, something's off in my body and I'm catching it before it's a thing. And she's like, oh, yep, this. And it was like, okay, there, you know, corrected my supplements. And now I'm taking exactly what my body needs, not what my mind thinks I need to take to be healthy.
And it's like, we got into this whole open head conversation yesterday about like, we were like, the future has already happened.
Yeah.
And like, just
God.
what we
Open head shit.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
We're like, our authority knows the future because it's already happened. And it was channel awareness hijacking our open heads.
You both have defined spleens?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that I think that you're actually picking up on. I don't know if this is an open head thing at all. I think you might be.
I don't know. Crazy place.
Oh, we were like metaphysically.
Oh,
it was.
We were like. I mean, it was, and I'm just. This is not relevant to human design, so I'm going to preface this. If it is true in any way, please let us know, because we would love to like have confirmation.
I want the answers.
We were like, what if our personality crystal, if we don't like fix the not self of a hanging gate in this lifetime, we get that as definition in our, I mean, it was.
I know I'm in my open head when I say what if a bunch
what
of times.
If? We were like,
what if this? What if that? That's how I know. But I get what you're saying about the spleen feeling into the future, at least definitely on the body side of things, right? It's like feeling into the future and preparing
because
yourself.
yeah, well, and we both have like my only conscious channel is channel of struggle. So, and I have a pretty lit up spleen. You do.
Yeah, same. I like it's, you know, when my very first reading, foundation reading, when she pulled open my conscious gates first, and she's like, you think you're a splenic projector. So this is how you live your life as a splenic projector. This is not who you really are, right? So my only conscious shit is like spleen.
Same.
So that's why I was making a lot of impulsive, quick decisions that were getting me into trouble, because that's who I thought I was and not who I really was. Completely
spleen to me, spleen is very futuristic. Like it's the only one that I say is so in the now. It's a little bit future based. Like it knows where to pull me to. It knows when to move me out of the way before I have time to think about it. And if that is conscious definition for both of you, then I feel that what you have is these internal competing timelines. And I'll be honest, Teresa, you got it the worst, because if you're going to be spleen plus sacral plus emotional, it's like, I'm imagining like a track race. Someone hits the starting gun and you got 3 centers that are like,
yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like I have these 3 prominent voices that are like, who are you going to listen to? And I'm like, well, the slowest one. Have to listen to the slowest one.
Yeah, yesterday.
Will you guys excuse me for 10 seconds while I get something to plug my phone in? Otherwise, it's going to die during our conversation.
Do it.
Yeah,
Give me 2 seconds.
go ahead.
We can look at some comments. We can respond to things. I'll miss you, Simone.
Hey, Brayton. 2-6 here. Anybody?
2-6.
2-6.
That's another open head thing we were talking about.
That
We're
yesterday.
like, why is there not? We're like, I feel like if there was like a 4-5 profile, that would be unstoppable. Like you can influence the people you know as well as the people who are strangers, and it would. We were talking about how some profiles just like would never work, or you know why the ego isn't connected to the sacral because they live forever.
Yeah,
Ross said.
And all the different profiles. Like, what if there was a 1-5 and a 4? Yeah.
How would that be?
What about a 6-1?
Open head shit?
But the future thing got brought up yesterday, and you know it's interesting you brought up that splenic thing, because now it's making me wonder if that was a splenic thing. Just plugging in her phone.
Yep. Sorry, guys. It's
No,
really
you're good.
awkward.
You're good.
Allah.
But I order raw cream because it's illegal here to get, so a farmer brings it up to another state and I go and pick it up. And I order every 2 weeks, and the last time I ordered, I sacral through what my order. I like play around with that all the time, and it was sacral 1, no, 2, no, 3, no, 4. Got up to 7, it was like, yes, 7 creams. And I was like, my mind is like, I don't need 7 creams. And okay, so I go to pick up my milk this week, and I thought I swear I ordered, and a friend of mine's like, I can't get my order, can you get mine? And I said, yeah. So I go there to pick it up. I didn't have an order, and I was like, that's okay, because I ordered 7 creams last time, and I have plenty of cream. And then she says to me, it's because the future's already happened. And then the funnest thing. And I was like, maybe that was splenic. That was like, you need 7 creams for survival.
Okay. Because the technology isn't going to work. And
I want to talk to you guys about something. I know that there's one topic that we haven't covered yet that came up in the beginning.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about 2027.
Yep, we knew.
Yep.
Yep, we know. The future's here.
Because we're also like, what if 2027's already happened?
Well, Brayton said that at some point. I don't know. Brayton, I'm going to give you credit for that. You said that, and I was like, whoa. 2027 already happened. The door is already closed. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyways, continue.
It has. We can see it. We can tell. Like as far as I'm concerned, the last 10% of the global cycle is where there's the strong push, where it's struggling for its last breaths. So the last 40 years of human design are going to be when Ra brought the system in to 2027. So Ra gave us this exactly for the last 10% of the cross of planning. And because my business took such a strong pivot towards business, I suddenly became very business based in my content. I had so many people coming to me looking to set up their businesses, and I would go, okay, well, do you know about 2027? No.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, well, I have no interest in helping you set up a business that's literally designed to crumble in the next 2 years. So let's look at what's dying. Let's look at what has already died, what is crumbling, and what is changing. And the way that when people, because it's very ambiguous, right? What is this? The one thing that is like my driver for this, as I say, we live in the time on the planet where we're moving towards individual empowerment. We're moving towards supporting the specific individual to do the thing that feels correct for their authority. And this is the first time in the existence of humanity where everybody, I think, pretty sure, gets to be asked the same question, which is, are you going to take a vaccine? Everybody across the planet gets one question, and then how do they decide to this? And I love watching people go through this conversation of what they think they're being forced to do. People talk about, I'm being forced to do this. And I really want to get into like, are we or are we not? Because I don't know anybody that has, and I could very well be wrong. I'm fully holding space and I'm totally fucking wrong on this. Maybe some people are being held down, strapped down, fully against their will. They're being injected, and I don't know what the fuck happened for that. However, for the most part, we get some leeway. We get the, hey, do you want to take the vaccine so that you can go to this job? Hey, do you want to take the vaccine so that you can not wear a mask? Hey, do you want to take the vaccine so that you can go to a restaurant? Hey, do you want to take the vaccine so that your kid can go to school? Like, there's all these negotiations. That's what's mostly happening. We're learning what it takes to negotiate people's authority and whether or not they actually trust their body, if they make decisions for themselves, or if they are making decisions that they think are for the other, and that's the excuse that they're using for not being able to make their own decisions. Like, I'm really interested in the idea that we're all being asked the same question. It doesn't even matter to me what the question is. I just happen to notice that the question is vaccine related. But whether or not we're going to do it is the thing where I'm like, what does your authority say? What does your authority say? And I found it very, very interesting being someone who's into human design and supporting individual authority. Whenever these conversations would happen around me, first off, I don't jump in with my opinion because I no longer desire. Whatever my opinion is, it's only my perspective. It doesn't make it right. So I'm listening to everybody else's opinions and perspectives. And it's so fascinating to see actually how quickly a lot of people want to give away their authority and then argue that it's been taken from them. That's something that I find really fascinating. I know it's a bit of a segue off the 2027 thing, but it's kind of how I drive. It's my driver for the point of we get to make a decision. Oh, hold on. Throat's starting to go. We're running out of steam. I probably have about 15 minutes left in this.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Totally. We're going to end with a bang.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a really good observation, just especially from someone who's innocent, because I'm like very much in my desire about that. And I'm in my desire around, I'm going to do what's correct for me. And I encourage everybody else to do what's correct for them. Mm-hmm. Like that's the thing that I have a hard stance on. Mm-hmm. But hearing somebody who's like noticing that from that objective sitting on the fence perspective is really interesting, and how it all ties into 2027. And I think it's an opportunity for us all to stand in our authorities no matter which way you go. You know?
Someone in the comment section just said, can I ask what 2027 is? And I actually do want to answer this. I have a very fast way that I deliver it to my clients. Everybody has an incarnation cross. Your incarnation cross is based off the gates that hold your conscious sun, your conscious earth, your unconscious sun, and your unconscious earth. It's the figuration of 4 gates that make an overarching theme in your life, but the planet also has one. So the planet has 4 gates holding a configuration to give us a 400-year theme on the planet. We went from 1615 to 2027. For the cross of planning, it's built on gates 40, 37, 9, and 16, which holds the tribal channel of community, which creates the background frequencies that says we have to support each other. All of those gates will turn off in February of 2027, and what will turn on instead is the channel of charisma, gates 20 and 34, also gate 55 and gate 59, but the channel of charisma is the one that holds the background frequency in individual circuitry, and it says I empower myself. That's what's changing.
And how cool, like just to like with transit, so we have Channel of Charisma right now. So there's a bunch of little babies being born for a significant period of time with Channel of Charisma that will all be like 5 years old.
I got one of those. I live with charisma every day.
Yeah. So there's like this oomph. It's like they're oomping the frequency. It's pretty cool.
Sam, did you even take a breath when you?
I don't think
I feel like
no,
you said
for
that
one shot that I don't even interrupt myself. Otherwise, I'm like,
Transmitting.
That was channel. That was
human design.
That was channel right there. That was great, Sam. Thank you for explaining that. So this begs the question: what do you think? What is your biggest piece of advice for businesses in this moment getting prepared for 2027?
Don't think about what you're doing for each other. Think about what you can help your client do for themselves.
Okay. Boom. Segue into why Teresa is in Iowa. Also, we like hanging out with each other. And she's the 44 to my 26. So, and I'm split. I just like being around her. However, I gave her something to respond to come up here because I have an in-person brick and mortar business that is very cross of planning.
Inner space.
Yeah, inner space. And I'm like, I have to, and I'm receptive.
But it's called inner space.
And she's receptive. And like when we're combined, and then I invited a quad right 3.5 projector, amazing. And 2 other MGs were there, and we all powwowed in a little penta about changing it to more about the individual and not about like that, the collective or tribal. I mean, it was so cool. Like it was like a planning meeting of how to restructure an entire business to fit into that, but without it actually thinking about 2027. It was really.
We talked about it at the end. I actually read off your post, so thank you for that. It was very helpful. I just needed a really quick, easy way to explain it to them. Because everybody was aware of design, and everybody's like kind of aware of their design in the meeting, but I'm like, I need you guys to understand this. Like, this is what we're going for with this, because some people still, it wasn't clicking as to the changes as to what we were.
It was because it was a very tribal projector. Right? He has channel transformation and channel synthesis. So very tribal. But, and I've been having this feeling, so here's a big permission slip to anybody watching, that when you start to have, and maybe it's feeling cognition, I don't know, my design, I was feeling this pull to make this shift. And it wasn't driven by what I know about 2027. It was like, this is what needs to happen for the individual. And then also, how can I set myself up as an individual? Yeah, really cool. Really cool shit.
If we zoom out on my business, that's what I just did. I'm not doing sessions. I'm not offering support. I'm not getting in a place where you give me this money and I give you this much attention and try and direct you to the thing that you need to do. I'm like, no, I'm going to do me. I'm going to be busy. I'm busy doing me. That's the theme of what's coming. I'm making the content so that you can use your own authority. You can pick and choose the thing that's for you. You can empower yourself through your own learning process, and it costs less money. In many ways, I've already ripped down my cross-planning business, and I've already started the framework, and I fucking love it. And I like when people copy me. That is something that I have noticed that needs to disappear from our industry, especially from other 6th line people. This idea that we're competing with each other. It's like,
no. Such a no to that with my completely open ego. Like, I'm not competing with
No.
anybody. And that is one thing, Sam, like, I've always loved that permission slip that you give, because your content inspires me to try that style of content. Like, it gives you something to respond to. And it's like, I love templates, you know, and that's what you put out, all of these templates. Here's all these different pieces of design content that you can try in your business. And it's very empowering.
And it's funny because I love telling like standard marketing advice to go fly a fucking kite. Because one of the things that gets told is like, you know, you got to have your brand and you got to have your consistency and you got to have your, I'm like, no, this is a bunch of shit that other people are wanting you to do. So it's like comfortable and easy for them. And no, you get to be yourself. And when people tell me like, well, you know, have these cohesive elements so that people feel comfortable, it's like, no, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a role model. I'm always going to find new ways to express myself. Channel Surrender comes up with really interesting different content styles all the time. And then I want people to adopt them. I want people to use them. And this is part of my fun, is that like I change my style all the time. And that's one of my favorite things about Pinterest, is that I don't like having more than 200 posts on my page. I like when it's like boutique-y feeling and little and not overwhelming, but I'm not going to trash all of my old work either. Like Pinterest allows me to have a place where I can offload my old styles and I can consistently evolve and show my new stuff. And then it also, search engine optimization is great because I ping back and forth between Instagram, Pinterest, my website, and the rest of it now. So my back end is sorted. It's like if somebody wants to go through my history, they're welcome to, but I don't leave it all on my Instagram. And especially because I do agree with the fact that, you know, projectors do a lot of educating for free. And if I left all of my education on Instagram, nobody would ever pay me for anything. So
Right.
they're appetizers. Instagram is not a place where I'm expected to like fully nourish and be responsible for somebody else's like educational diet. It's a place where I go, oh, fuck, that looks good. Oh, that makes me hungry. Ooh, I want more of this. Like my taste cognition all the way here. But I'm looking to give people a taste. But they're going to have to come for more if they want it.
Oh, I love that. It's beautiful. That's a great place to wrap up with you, Sam. We don't want to take too much of your energy. So yeah, where can people find you? Where can people go? Anything you want to end on? Whatever.
Everywhere. People are assuming they will find me everywhere. I'm on TikTok. There's no video. Somebody teach me how to do that, please.
I'm TikTok queen. I'll teach you.
Okay. And then I've got obviously Instagram, Sam Zagar. The website is Sam Zagar. The Pinterest is Sam Zagar. And I think I'm going to do something interesting here where I have gotten all of my podcast guests so far to agree to video. So the ones that I've recorded for season 2, I just about gave Jenny a fucking heart attack yesterday because she's a quad left splenic manifester and she did such a good job editing my first podcast episode for this season that she came back after and she's like, do I have to edit the videos too? Because I did such a good job editing this one. Like, how am I going to get rid of all of the same sounds and all of the same? And I was like, no. We got 2 different things going on here. I am very particular about audio quality. If people are just going to hear, they're going to hear all kinds of things. So I need this to be really good sounding for them. But if people are watching the video, they don't hear everything so much because we have other things for their senses and they are more interested in seeing the raw component of it. So I'm like, just make sure that my entrance to the podcast isn't like me hitting the record video and then being awkward for a second and then getting into it. Like, just clean me up in the beginning and the end a little bit, but you know, keep it authentic. But I think I'm going to post those on YouTube. I think I'm going to venture into YouTube land. I've got the bravery to do it now. But again, it'll just be like a slightly bigger appetizer. You actually want me, you're going to have to come to my website. And because I'm getting rid of sessions, I'm going to put something new on my website. I, again, don't know how good things can be. And I'm going to give the opportunity for other people to show me how good things can be by removing all services and saying, make me an offer. You want me to teach a class? You want me to come to your group? You want me to be on your podcast? You want me to just hang out with you and your friends? Like, I don't know what you want me for. If you want me, let me know. Make me an offer. And we'll see what kind of things show up for me.
That's beautiful.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I love it. Very cool.
This is so good. Guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Oh, and the guide. There's a guide Facebook page.
There's a guide HD Instagram page.
Instagram page. There's a guide. Yeah, and the guide now is not on subscription. It is, you can just buy an issue. So
it'll always be $25 just for an issue.
Can people buy past issues?
Yep.
Okay.
You can buy a past issue. All issues moving forward will just be $25.
Cool. Wonderful.
Yeah. Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
We love you.
Yeah.